broadcast starting. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this Tampa City Council meeting to order. At this time, I defer to Council Member Orlando Goods.
Mr. Chairman, you know, with heavy hearts, I lost a friend, someone who came to me at a time that I needed someone. I didn't ask. And she came to me, she says, I'm going to be your next aide. I'm going to make you smile. We're going to pray every day. I'm going to make you happy. And I said, well, you go home and you ask your husband and your family if it's okay, because it's a big job to undertake District 5. She said, all right, sir. She came back the next day. She said, my husband said it's okay, and my family said it's okay. I said, well, okay. We'll get started. She said, before we get started, we're going to pray. We're going to pray every day in this office. And when I come in, she may have already did a blessing officer. When I get there, she does another blessing. Before we leave, we do a blessing. And in the time I needed her, the last couple of months, she was there. Don't you worry about nothing. God has us. He has us. He has us all. He has your people. A person who prayed every day. So I know, Miss Debbie, I know when she left us on Monday, the gates of heaven were already open for her. Because her spirit was touched and blessed by God, so she didn't have to worry about the gates being open. It was open. She walked right in, and she smiled like she always do, gentlemen. She smiled, laughed, you know. So Christmas time, we're going to miss her. We're going to miss her because she made everybody feel happy with joy. She come in with her Christmas outfit on all week long. Makes everybody happy. She made me happy. She made me when I was in my darkest days, my darkest moments, months ago. She called me today. She prayed, we're going to be all right. You're going to get through it. God knows your heart. I'm going to miss her because she did. He sent her to me at a time where I needed somebody, and she was here. And I'm blessed to have known her. Blessed to have just been able to give her an opportunity, because she was happy for the opportunity. She was happy. She wanted it. She was happy with doing anything. Mr. Chairman, her services will be this Saturday at 3 p.m. at the Holland Pines Missionary Baptist Church at 4711 East 21st Street in Tampa. That's in Holland Pines. Family will take in guests and friends. But all I want to say, Mr. Chairman, if I could make a motion for accommodation from Ms. Debbie.
We have a motion from Councilmember Goods. Do we have a second from Councilmember Miranda? All in favor? Aye.
Please, if you could help us with that, I would appreciate that. I know she would love that, and her family would love that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, sir. There is an indescribable emptiness in City Hall. Councilmember Goods, you said it best. Debbie was an angel here, and now she's an angel above looking down on all of us. But a woman of deep faith, strong, really feared nothing, no matter how difficult the situation. And she passed away Monday, suddenly, and truly an irreplaceable individual. So, thank you, sir.
If I may.
Yes, sir.
And I echo sentiments made about Debbie and Councilman Goods. Obviously, sorry, sir, for your loss and for the loss of Debbie's family. She was just a very decent person, a great compassion. I remember, just many experiences with her that we had talking on many different issues, and it's funny. This is personal, but whatever. My son and I, he's a kid, and we always sometimes film movies. It's stupid stuff that we do. And Debbie was in one of our movies a year and a half ago, and I saw it with my son, and she was just she was a nice lady. She was a really good lady, just a hardworking woman, and she won't be forgotten. So I'd love to see maybe if maybe an organization, ATU or someone like that, could start up a fund, a 501c3, so that maybe we can, from our city council offices, give to it for Debbie's family, just an idea. But thank you, sir. Again, just God bless her.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Debbie was a kind, sweet person before she was Councilman Goods' legislative aide. She was our front desk person. And the people that came to see us, that was the first point of contact. Now, not everybody comes into city council office with a smiling face. But Ms. Mercer made sure that they did have a smiling face. She is going to be greatly missed. And her voice will echo. We have locks on our door that we have to punch in to pass. And she would always anticipate when one of us was coming through the door, and she would yell out, "It's open!" I will miss that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, our office is right next to Mr. Good's office and Debbie. And I would see her just about every day that I was in the building, or she was in the building all the time. And there wasn't a better person, a human being, than Debbie Mercer. She had illnesses in the family, and we talked about her illnesses and family illnesses, and we shared each other's history in life. And to me, she was one of the most rounded person I've ever met. She always had a smile on her face, no matter how critical it was, no matter how serious it was with illness in her family or other people's family. She did it with a smile. She took life as it came and made changes to help the people around her. She was an extraordinary human being, and I'm gonna miss her greatly.
Yes, ma'am.
I, of course, did not know her as long or as well as others, but she was truly one of the very first people to walk into my office and say hello and offer me any type of help she possibly could. And just talking, just what everyone else has said is the experience I had. Just always a smile, always willing to help, always had a positive thought, and that will be truly missed. And she will be truly missed.
Thank you very much. All right. It's my pleasure this morning to welcome Colonel Tim Keyports, who's going to give our invocation, community leader, involved in Seminole Heights, deeply with the community, giving his time and his service to so many involved in so many aspects of the neighborhoods and even in local government. Tim Keyports is there. If we could please stand, and Colonel Keyports will lead us in the invocation.
I'd just like to pass a few words before we bow our heads. I'm honored to be called by City Council again this morning for the invocation. As we begin another work day, it's important to take a few minutes to reflect on this past week, one of the most important for Christians, while also respecting all faiths and all other individuals. We reflect with great humility on Maundy Thursday, Good Friday, and rejoice this past Easter Sunday. On Sunday, the children of our congregation came to the front of the sanctuary to sing a song. Our pastor asked them about the significance of Easter, and a brave 4-year-old little girl replied quite loudly, "It's Jesus' birthday." Take a minute. Our pastor used this, after praising her for being brave, to share that we are indeed in confusing times. The pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and even our recent loss of Debbie Mercer, a well-loved, clearly, and long-time public servant of the city of Tampa. We will honor your name through our good works this week. Please bow your heads. In Romans 13:1, it is said, "Every person is to be in subjection to the governing authorities. For there is no authority except from God, and those which exist are established by God." Praise be to God. Let these words guide our elected officials, and let them resonate in your hearts as we go forth and do good works today, tomorrow, and as we prepare ourselves ahead of this coming Sunday, the true start of our week. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Carlson. Goods.
Here.
Hurtak.
Here.
Citro.
Here.
Vieira.
Here.
Miranda. And Maniscalco.
Here.
We have a physical quorum.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shelby.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, City Council, members of the public. Martin Shelby, the City Council Attorney. We're here for today's regular agenda on April 21st of 2022, and the public and the citizens of Tampa are able to watch, listen, and view this meeting on cable TV at Spectrum Channel 640, Frontier Channel 15, and on the internet at tampa.gov/live stream. Now, members of the public can attend here in person in City Council chambers or virtually participate in this meeting by using what is referred to by Florida statutes and rules as communications media technology. Now, to speak remotely during public comment during the use of CMT pre-registration is required, just as to participate remotely in public hearings during today's meeting using CMT pre-registration is also required, and the instructions for that are available both in the notice of the meeting and on the agenda and on a City Council's website at tampa.gov/citycouncil. Now, please note that in order to participate in quasi-judicial matters remotely, cell phones and smartphones are not compatible, as they will not allow you to share your camera when connected. Those people who want to participate remotely at quasi-judicial hearings must have access to a CMT device such as a tablet or a computer equipped with a camera and a microphone that will enable you to be seen by video and heard by audio by the City Council and other participants. Now, that being said, Mr. Chairman, I'd like Council to waive the rules and adopt the CMT to be consistent with the instructions and the
Motion to waive.
notice. Thank you.
Motion from Councilman Goose, second from? Councilwoman Hurtak, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Thank you, Council.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shelby. We have approval of the agenda and the addendum to the agenda. If you see the addendum, there are quite a few substitute resolutions. When we get to those items, I'll bring them up. What else? Item number 3, Councilman Vieira, is to be removed, correct?
Yes, sir, please, thank you.
We have a motion to remove item number 3.
Second.
We have a second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, items number 20 and 21 will be pulled for discussion and placed under staff reports. So items 20 and 21, if proper staff is available, this is regarding a Rome Yard and the community benefits and disposition agreement. So we'll put that under staff reports. You can still speak about it under public comment, so no change there. Do we have a motion for that?
Moved.
Motion from Councilman Vieira, second from Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will not have an administration update from Chief Bennett. And regarding staff reports, I'm going to go through them real quick. The agenda is short today, but there are quite a few lengthy items. So, and this was, I'll come back to this. This is Councilman Carlson. If we would need anybody for Tampa Union Station. We'll get back to that. Item number 45, there is a staff report. This is a motion also by Carlson. I'll come back to that. Item number 46, this is a motion by Councilmember Vieira. Would you like staff here?
Sure. We'll probably have a lunch break in between, but at this time, yes.
Okay. Item number 47 is also
Yeah, staff for 47, a few questions on that.
for 46?
Yes.
Okay, 47 is also Carlson. We'll come back to that. This is my motion. The existing chlorine plant item, there is a request that this item, number 48, be continued to June 16th
So moved.
or a June 23rd workshop, which would
Second.
everyone, all right, June 16th?
Yes.
All right, motion from Councilman Goods to continue item 48 to June 16, 2022. Second from Councilman Citro. All in favor? Aye. All right. Any opposed? Councilman Vieira, item 49.
Please.
Yes, I think we'll
Please.
need it, yeah.
All right, we'll keep staff for 49. Item number 50.
Yes.
We
Yes.
would keep staff here for that. Item number 51, this is also Councilmember Carlson. This is regarding a draft resolution for Healthy Bones Tampa Bay Coalition. Do you want staff here, or?
Mr. Chairman, and I'm glad Councilmember Carlson is here. There was a little bit of confusion with regard to that resolution. Actually, in talking with Councilmember Carlson and his legislative aide, the motion really should be for the Osteoporosis Awareness Month in the month of May, and I prepared that consistently so I can distribute that to council.
After lunch today?
After lunch today.
Okay, so we'll leave 51,
Yes.
Mr. Carlson? Yes,
Yes,
sir.
and we don't need staff, just,
All right, so we'll
Marty
take
can
care
do
of that.
And I-
Item 52 and 53 are my motions. We'll keep staff for those. One is a 15-minute presentation. Councilmember Carlson, for item 44, Tampa Union Station Coffee Shop proposal, incubator proposal, would you like staff here?
yes, I think if Nicole is available, after Tuesday night, she and I spoke, we have some ideas to put forward, so.
All right, and item 45 regarding
Same
the
thing.
audit, okay?
Staff on both ends?
So staff will be here for 44 and 45, and then item 47 regarding the Veteran Memorial Statue at Tampa Union Station. Would you like somebody here?
Yes, please.
All right, that concludes staff reports.
And again,
So we get a, yes,
again,
sir?
Mr. Chairman, 52 and 53, you wish to have staff
Yes,
present?
we'll have staff here. There's a
Okay.
15-minute presentation on the 53.
Yes.
All right, can we get a motion to approve the agenda and the addendum?
So moved.
We have a motion from Councilmember Citro, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. All right, Councilmember, yes, sir.
Could I, sorry I'm late, everybody, could I just say something about Debbie real fast?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry I missed that, and Debbie was one of, it's hard to say past tense. She was one of the best people I ever met, one of the kindest people. When even before I started on city council, Yoli told me to get to know her, and I think others mentioned this. She was so welcoming, walked through everything. She had great institutional knowledge on everything in city council, where to get business cards, where your money was in your account, everything. As Councilmember Citro mentioned, she would anticipate when you're coming through the door, but she just was one of the kindest, happiest people that I've ever met. And during the worst times that she faced personally, she would smile. And on Councilmember Goods mentioned this, no matter how bad her personal situation was, she would uplift everybody else. And she was just one of those inspiring lights that we need more of in the world and not less. And I hope that we will all try to live to her expectation of us to be positive, happy, and giving. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Councilmember Vieira, you have the first item.
Yes, we have here the USF Student Government. Folks who are here, if they'd like to come up. Mr. Chair, would it be okay to have each person just briefly introduce themselves and with their major?
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir, if you'd like. You may.
Good morning. I'm Andres Montero. I am the Director of External and Governmental Affairs for Student Government at the University of South Florida. First of all, thank you for having us today. We'll be spending a few hours of our day here in your offices for several reasons, but I'll let some of our peers introduce themselves before I continue.
Hello, Monica Smith, Federal Chief of Staff, double majoring in political science and history with a minor in English.
And I don't know why, I guess what you're looking at doing when you get out of college, if you know.
So as of right now, I'm in the process of applying for a Fulbright scholarship to Lithuania. So hopefully when I graduate, I'll do that, come back, get my master's, my PhD, and then work as a policy analyst, focusing in Eastern European foreign policy.
Wow, very, very narrowly tailored. Good for you. Okay. Go ahead.
I'm Yamaris Rodriguez, she, her, hers pronouns. I'm the St. Petersburg Deputy Chief of Staff as well. And I'm a political science major. I graduate, and my wish is to do immigration law and policy.
Good, thank you, ma'am.
Good morning, my name is Catherine Matheny. I am the Tampa Federal Ranking Justice of our Supreme Court. I am a political science and economics major with a minor in legal studies and philosophy. And for post-grad, I'm hoping to attend law school and become a civil rights attorney.
Hello, everyone. My name is Victoria Williams. I'm the Federal Chief Financial Officer for Student Government, and my major is political science and history, and I hope to go to law school and actually pursue corporate law.
Great.
Hi, good morning. My name is Alicia Wonko, and I'm a health sciences major with a minor in political science. I'm planning to pursue a master's in public health and become a pediatrician.
Great.
So one of the reasons why we wanted to come here today was to present all of you and everyone that's present with a very special piece of student government legislation that was passed this semester that I worked on very hard personally, and some of my peers that are joining me here today. It is called the One USF Community Engagement Bill, and essentially what it is a sign of the student body pledging to have a bigger positive impact in the surrounding communities around our university. That being Tampa, St. Petersburg, and Sarasota Manatee. So this bill essentially binds student government to participating in 3 or more yearly community engagement activities. What I mean by community engagement, could be local government elections, charity events, or local fundraisings that are classic and historic to our surrounding communities. The main reason behind this is because as I came into student government, I realized that we place a lot of emphasis in making an impact on the state level, which is very important for us as well. But I realized that we weren't doing as big of an effort to make a bigger impact in our local level. So I decided to get together with some of our senators in our student government senate and work on this piece of legislation. And I have it right here, and I would love to present it to everyone here.
Right.
I don't know who.
I guess, Mr. Chair, do you want to get it, or?
No, go ahead.
I guess I'll there, Ian. Yeah, how about, do you want to bring him up here for?
Yeah, come on up.
Come on, guys, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, come on,
Come on, guys.
Can fill in some gaps here?
Sorry.
There he is.
1, 2, 3.
Sorry, Al.
Squeeze Bill out of there. I'm sorry. Waiting for other people to come.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How many of us up here are bulls? Sierra,
Bulls.
Citra, me, you got 3. So. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know if anybody on the dais here recognized Ms. Smith. She is my office's intern, and she has done some excellent work for our office, and we're going to see bright things coming from her. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Yes, sir.
To all of you students, thank you for your leadership and thank you for coming today. It used to be that like 30 years ago, the people who ran Tampa, a lot of them were from the University of Florida, and we've seen in the last 20 years the USF and UT have really risen up. And look, the new USF president was chosen in part by a former USF student body president. And you see USF leadership throughout the community. So to you and all your colleagues who aren't here, if we can do anything to help you in your careers, and most importantly, help make sure you come back and get connected in leadership quickly in our community, you don't need 20 or 30 years of experience to get involved anymore. You can get involved now. So please let us know how we can help. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, thank you very much. Okay, I was just informed that item 42 needs to be withdrawn. Let me pull it up. Item 42 was a public hearing for 1:30. May I have a motion to withdraw 42?
Second.
Motion to withdraw from Councilmember Good, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Councilmember Vieira, item number 2, sir.
Thank you, sir. And for the USF students, after the consent agenda, I'll, if I may, I'd love to grab them and take them on a tour behind of our magnificent offices. So if y'all want to come up here, y'all may, Connie, everybody. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. We're going to be voting on putting forward what's a series of steps to further get the city of Tampa better involved in issues involving returning citizens. And I want to do a very brief presentation, likely not more to exceed 8 or 9, 10 minutes or so today, with some great community stakeholders. So the intent of this, sir, and all of City Council is to have the city of Tampa better promote through the contracting process, through our own internal processes, et cetera, the plight and employment and economics of returning citizens, people who are leaving incarceration, leaving prison, and all they want to do is to be able to work hard and put food on the table for their families. So we have some really great people here, and we're going to start with our good friends from the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. We work with a number of really prominent organizations in the state of Florida and in our city and community on putting forth a number of proposals to move this issue forward. And is Neil Volz available virtually? Brandon, is he? Okay, great. And we'll begin. Ms. Burton, if you'd like to begin, you may. Go ahead.
Thank you. And good morning, Connie Burton, Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. This is the right ordinance at the right time. When we're talking about how to restore people's lives, we have to look at ways in which second chances become viable. That when people have truly paid their debt to society, in which the courts have identified things that, excuse me, individuals must do, then I think it's more than appropriate for city government to extend its hands to say, then how do people then come back into our communities and able to provide a sense of dignity? Not only have we worked very aggressively around the voting rights, but we believe that the substantials in human dignity as well as housing and employment is needed. And so this city can be a first step. We have a lot of major projects that's coming on board. We wouldn't want to see any of these projects or this ordinance used as just a mere smoke and mirror. But having real tangibles in place, measurements that we can say that businesses that's coming in the side of the city of Tampa would be aligned with this audience that would give people real opportunities. And so it wouldn't be a window dressing, that we would be able to monitor participation, monitor development, and also essentially at the end of the day, seeing people becoming productive taxpayers. So we are very appreciative of this ordinance and your leadership around it. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. We appreciate you. And if Mr. Volz is available
Yes,
virtually?
Neil Volz is online, sir.
I
If you
see
can,
the baseball hat.
Yep,
And it's an honor to have here Mr. Neil Volz from the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition. Are you in Fort Myers or Tallahassee today, Neil?
I'm actually in Washington, D.C., so I am honored to be there with you via technology, and what an exciting moment.
Go ahead, sir.
Oh, okay, thank you. I just want to say that I think this is a real win-win opportunity for our community. Appreciate the process in which it's being set up in a collaboration in which Louis, I just want to say thank you to you, Councilman, for reaching out to those who are most impacted by these policies, our local business community, the faith community, the returning citizen community, people who have been impacted by the criminal justice system, and begin the process of putting together what we believe is good for everybody. If somebody can get work who's been impacted by the criminal legal system, not only do they benefit, their family benefits, but our local businesses benefit, our faith community benefits, and ultimately we can increase and improve public safety in our community so everyone benefits. And we think that is an example and can be a foundation that can grow, and that ultimately lives can be changed in our community, improved dramatically because of these efforts. And we just want to thank everybody who's come together to begin to move this process, and we look forward to making this the best that we possibly can, knowing that there's real people's lives at the back end of it. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of the returning citizen community for your leadership and your efforts. Second chance employment is vital to all of us. So thank you.
Thank you, Neil. And it's, again, such a great pleasure to have the City of Tampa partner up for this and for future endeavors with our good friends at the Florida Rights Restoration Coalition, including Ms. Burton. Next, just briefly, we'll hear from Business Community Insight from Nicholas Glover with the Tampa Chamber of Commerce and Mr. Joe Probasco, Managing Partner of Bush Ross, and also with the JCC Federation. Gentlemen.
Good morning, everyone. Councilwoman, so good to see you. It's good to say that. And Councilman Goods, very sorry for your loss. Council Nicholas Glover, as Councilman Vieira shared, here on behalf of the Tampa Bay Chamber. Really, we'll be very brief. I'll let Joe give more detailed comments, but this is an opportunity for us to allow businesses to do well and to do some good at the same time. I'll take the emotion out of it. When we think about what our priorities are at the local level, they go across 7 guiding principles, but this ordinance intersects 3, if not more of them, including business and economic development, workforce development and education, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Very important intersection. I cannot overstate how important it is for us to think about the best public policy initiative that we can ever prescribe to anyone is a good paying job with some dignity. And that's what we're proposing, getting people back into the workforce, as Connie mentioned, back with us, paying taxes. That's the best possible solution for us as the chamber sees it. We look forward to working with you, Councilman Vieira, on this initiative and making sure that we advocate to our members and to the broader business community how important this initiative is for us all. So thank you for the opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, council members. My name is Joe Probasco, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to address the council this morning. I think if you ask any business leader in the community, we're facing 3 things when it comes to the labor pool: recruitment, retention, and upskilling. If you read the news, you're hearing labor shortage, I can't find talent, and I think what we're doing simply is overlooking a tremendous labor pool that's available for us if we just polish the lens a little bit differently. So one of my roles here as a private business owner in Tampa is to really educate my counterparts and use this as an opportunity to have them look at this just a little bit differently and take a step back. We're very blessed in Tampa. We have one of the most innovative business communities that I think you'll see in this country. And sometimes we need to take a step back and say, is the system we have in place making sense? I think if we all do that objectively, the answer is no. So if we take a step back, look what this resolution and this ordinance does to lead from the city side, it allows us in the private markets to finally have that conversation with our counterparts and say, listen, let's look at this labor pool. Let's look at this a little bit differently perhaps we have in the past and see if we can help reduce both our labor issues and then 2, get some folks some good paying jobs. I think what the data will show, what the data supports, is all these individuals are loyal employees. They perform at par or above their counterparts. And it's just a way that we just need to revisit this and look at it a little bit differently. So I appreciate the opportunity to address everybody this morning and appreciate the council even considering this ordinance.
Thank you, Joe. And next we have a gentleman who actually I think addressed us 2 weeks ago, my good friend, Mr. Robert Blount, who is the president of Reverend A. Brown Ministries. And I'll also read a statement from Mr. Freddie Barton of Safe and Sound Hillsborough. Robert, go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, council. The unemployment rate among men and women who are returning to our community from incarceration is 27% higher than just our average citizen. And our founder, Reverend A. Brown, was a man full of wisdom who believed that you should live and lead by example. And I see this as an opportunity of leadership. When other employers see the city of Tampa leading in this arena, they will follow. And I'm also pleased to say that A. Brown Ministries, too, practices what we preach. We have 2 employees who are formerly incarcerated individuals, one of whom served 10 years in prison, was divorced. His wife divorced him while he was incarcerated. But when he got out, he not only remarried his wife and pursued that relationship, but again, to the USF students, he is a graduate of the School of Social Work at USF. He is doing a phenomenal job, been employed with us for 2 years, and that is, really the story that we hope that through this type of leadership, we can continue to demonstrate here in our community. So I strongly encourage you to support this ordinance and to lead in this very critical, important manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. And I'll read a statement from Mr. Freddie Barton, but beforehand, I mean, our intent in bringing this forward is to begin a formal conversation within the city of Tampa on giving us a bigger footprint on the issue of returning citizens by encouraging contractors to hire returning citizens and to ban the box as the city of Tampa does, by formally, for the first time ever, starting with city dollars, a partnership with the county for an apprenticeship and training program solely designated for returning citizens. And as I'll talk about later towards the end of the meeting, we have a commitment from Gwen Myers with the county commissioner to seek that money and to have the city report on the number of returning citizens that we hire so we can continue to lead by example to make that the first step. And also by partnering up with our friends in the private sector, such as the Chamber of Commerce, and encouraging the hiring of returning citizens. From Mr. Barton, it reads as follows. Good morning to the chair and members of City Council and to everyone present listening. It is my pleasure to speak on this important issue raised here today. Unfortunately, I'm not able to attend in person, but it is important to let you know why. At this time, I'm currently in today's juvenile detention hearings where pre-arraignment statuses are being set for our youth who were arrested yesterday. Unfortunately, this is a daily event. The youth in our community are in need of several services, but a positive pathway out of delinquency is one of the top priorities. We know that education and gainful employment are two of the great equalizers in life. A survey completed recently with over 50 youth who were arrested here in Hillsborough County showed that over 65% of youth that were arrested had one or more parents who were previously incarcerated or arrested. And nearly half of those parents were not or had not been employed for a period of 6 months to a year. With no legal means to provide for their families, we see the propensity for further criminal behavior and or violence. As we at Safe and Sound Hillsborough work to prevent violence in our communities for the betterment of youth and their families, we know that there must be policies put in place to assist returning citizens with securing gainful employment, allowing them the opportunity to have family-sustaining employment, increasing the quality of life for themselves and their families, and showing our youth that though you may have made a mistake in the past, you are not your mistake, not your mistake in caps. For emphasis, we fully support this endeavor and commit to fully partnering with the city and community on training assistance, wraparound supports, and mentorship opportunities as part of this initiative. Freddie Barton, Executive Director of Safe and Sound Hillsborough. So there you go. I just wanted to, again, give an overview of this issue before we deal with this towards the end of council, and if members have any questions.
Thank you. Councilmember Good.
If you remember back in 2019, I made a motion in reference to the same type of program and asked for HR to kind of look at our criteria. And I think they came back and looked at some things. I'm glad that we've got a bigger group to kind of get some things moving. I did look at the ordinance. And I did talk to Mr. Bennett about that. I have some concerns because when you look at the ordinance, look at what is presented, a lot of times we want to do good, but there are other barriers. And when we look at the barriers, it's the insurance carriers that have a barrier to where they will not allow people to be hired. So I talked to Mr. Bennett, and hopefully he'll talk about how we might get a pilot program with a bond situation, because we can have our best intentions, but I can tell you there is a roadblock there that is stopping the process. So maybe the city and county can come up with some type of pilot program with the program to be able to foster and move the reentry, second chance, so people can be employed. So hopefully hear more about that. And Mr. Bennett, we did talk about it, so hopefully he'll talk about that when we get to item 50 today. But there is a roadblock, and we have to be able to knock that roadblock. And we might can do some things at the local level, but we're going to need Ms. Hart, Senator Rousseau, and some of the others to be able to get on board to really knock the whole block down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, I believe in forgiveness and second chances. I think I've mentioned it a few times up here. What is the point of somebody given a prison sentence for whatever long it may be? They get out of prison and they're continuously punished. It's like a perpetual slavery where they can't get a hand up, not a hand out, a hand up to rejoin society and be productive. And instead, they're kept in this perpetuity of the criminal justice system. And you look at the numbers, you know, the unemployment rates, the issues, the roadblocks, all this stuff. Give people the opportunity to get their rights restored, to vote, to work. I mean, I know quite a few people that I've met in my life that did stupid things when they were young. One gentleman was in prison for 12 years for robbing a 7-Eleven at gunpoint. If you didn't know, if I didn't tell you his story, you wouldn't think anything. What a nice guy. He owns his own business. He told me the story that when he got out of prison, that he went to the sheriff's office here to apply for a job. He said, I'll do anything, mop the floors, whatever it is. And they laughed at him, thinking, are you crazy? You just got out of prison 12 years. So he started his own cleaning business. He has his own family. He has a house. Again, productive member of society, and he's now registered to vote after many, many years. But it seems like we live in such a judgmental society that we punish people, we give them a sentence of whatever it is, and we continuously punish them without letting them just be productive, just live their life as any other human being. So I appreciate you bringing this up. I appreciate Councilmember Goods bringing this up earlier. I'm in total support. I want to do whatever we can to support those individuals that, again, made mistakes. We all make mistakes, but they have a right to live free. They have a right to be productive. They have a right to vote, and take part in our election system. I mean, there's just so many things that I can say, but again, second chances and forgiveness. We need to practice what we preach, and again, thank you, sir, and all the speakers today for coming. Anybody else on the dais? No. Thank you very much, sir.
If I may,
yes, sir.
To Councilman Good's point, I mean, this is, like I always joke, these are the 10 suggestions, not the 10 commandments. So they're 100% subject to revision, so to speak, and especially improvements like that, obviously. And for me, again, the intent on this is to get a conversation started by getting our feet in the water, so to speak, on this issue, to gain the people's trust by having a test pilot apprenticeship program with the county, to give people the skills that they need so that we can build on it in the coming years. Because this issue, I mean, the way a lot of us, maybe people were raised in the suburbs, et cetera, and you never think about this issue. Well, we should think about it. We should think about it as Americans. If you're a person of faith, whether a Christian, Jew, Muslim, whatever, you should think of it as a compassionate person. So I think we need to have this dialogue, and I thank you for all your thoughts.
Thank you.
Chair, may I ask a question? Chief Bennett?
Good morning.
The city has a policy of ban the box.
Correct.
Can we mandatorily make companies that do contract work with the city of Tampa? Can we make employers that work with the city of Tampa? Can we make it possible that in their applications, they have also banned the box so that work that is being done for the city of Tampa, much like our non-fossil fuel containers during events. Can we do that with companies that work for the city of Tampa or work with the city of Tampa?
Sure. Again, good morning, John Bennett, Chief of Staff. Councilman Good's point is we do have an agenda item to discuss that today, but to be more direct, I don't know the legality of making them do it, but what I do know is that quite often in our procurement process, there are background checks that come through to the city. I have personally scrutinized those all the way back to, I was telling Councilman Goods this yesterday, even back to the 2009 Super Bowl when the feds were running everybody before the event. I had the final authority to approve all the workforces to allow them to do, and a lot of them had records, and I passed them right through because the type of work they were doing and the backgrounds met an opportunity. So there is opportunity, and then what we're looking for in the city is those companies that opt in to ban the box may be able to get more equal business opportunity points in the system. So that way we have an opportunity to get additional opportunity to work with the city. If I could have a point of privilege, I just want to share a story that's near and dear to my heart. Right at the end of my career, I got a call from the Department of Corrections saying they were releasing in the city of Tampa with no address one of the worst offenders they had that was sat in prison for 25 years. They said they were dropping him off at the bus stop on North Florida Avenue because this person had no address. And they said, he's going to be a danger to the city of Tampa. I got out of my office. I said, have them meet me at the corner with this gentleman. He'd sat in prison for 25 years, was being dropped off here. I called the downtown partnership, and after 3 days of paying for his shelter, they gave him a job at my request. That guy, within several months, had his own apartment, his own job, and he's still working today after 25 years. So there are tremendous opportunities, And one partner, with Partners We Can Do More, one partnership that we really need to focus on within the criminal justice system is the Department of Corrections. And the risk and needs and responsivity of those programs, quite often the people I've been able to hire in the city who had backgrounds have gone through specialized training while they were doing their community justice, if you will, and they come out and they are hireable by the city. So we do have progression in the space, but with these partners, we can do a lot more. But the answer to your question is yes, but I think the way right now that we're looking at it is to apply additional points for those companies that provide that opportunity.
One last statement, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Mr. Bennett. If the city of Tampa is going to lead the way on this, everybody that is involved with work in the city of Tampa should follow. So thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Chief Bennett.
And Chief Bennett, you know, you practice what you preach. Many times I see you. I know you go to church every morning. Many times I've been in the back. I see you. You live by faith, but and how you live your life and the people that you've helped. I mean, you've proven it just in this story, but that's one of many stories. I know your character, and I think we could all learn from that. You know, compassion, second chances, forgiveness, lift people up. You know, let them, you know, be productive. Help them be productive. So thank you, sir.
You're welcome, and this administration supports that from the top down, so thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? Thank you, Councilman Vieira and all the speakers. We appreciate your time. Thank you so much. All right, we'll go to public. Well, before we go to public comment, just a quick announcement regarding Rome Yard. When we come back from lunch, let's say 1:30, so we have a time certain, I'd like to take the Rome Yard discussion first. I know we have one public hearing, but the Rome Yard discussion is big, so at 1:30, you can speak now, but we'll bring it up first under staff reports because we have a lot of people here for it. Yes, Mr. Shelby.
Is it the chair's or council's intent to open the floor then for those items then, or just everybody who wants to speak on Rome Yard?
Speak now on Rome Yard, and then we can leave it up to the staff at 1:30.
I understand that. Thank you.
Yeah. Councilman Carlson.
Could I just ask Chief of Staff or Legal why Rome Yard was put on consent agenda? It seems like with a 99-year lease, the total of it would surpass the total dollar amount that should be on consent agenda. I know you've asked to move it to staff reports, but why was it put on consent in the first place?
Honestly, I don't have an answer, Councilman. I don't know why it was put on there. Between that portfolio and the clerk's office is where it landed.
Yes, sir, Mr. Shelby.
This is a good question to ask council, but we discussed this. I discussed this with the clerk's office. The process is that when it goes through SIRE, and the clerk can clarify certainly, it is normally placed on the consent docket, and if the department requests it, it is pulled, or if a council member requests it, it is pulled.
Well, I think there's a dollar amount minimum
yes.
that if you look at the 99 years of the lease, it surpasses that. In the first year it doesn't, but after that it does.
If we can ask.
Yeah, if it's over $3 million, it's automatically placed under staff reports. In this case, it didn't reference that it was over $3 million, so that's why staff requested that it be pulled for discussion.
Because it's I know it's like $2.5 million the first year, but then it's like I forgot exactly 15% of rent over 99 years. So that's got to surpass. It doesn't say clearly an estimated number, but it's way over 2.5 million, way over 3 million. So anyway, we can talk about that when we get to the item. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much.
And just a clarification, Mr. Chairman, for those people who are planning to be at the 1:30 public hearing, item 41, it's your intent and council's intent then to take items 20 and 21 before you take item 41 at the 1:30?
We have them pulled for discussion to go under staff reports.
Yes.
So, 20 and 21 is what I'm talking about, to be at 1:30 first under staff reports.
That's correct, but the question is, at what time will item 41 be taken up, before then or
41,
after
I'm
then?
sorry, sir.
41.
Immediately after.
Immediately
This
after.
is that one public hearing. Yeah, immediately after.
Understood, thank you.
So the Rome discussion might be 30 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't know, but we'll go to 41 right after that. Is that fine?
When the people, I don't know whether the people who are going to be coming in for the 1:30 public hearing, whether they're hearing this or not, but they'll be informed then if that's council's pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we're going to go to public comment. If you're here to speak on any item on the agenda, this includes the Rome Yard project. Please approach the lectern and state your name. You'll have 3 minutes. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Bob Whitmore, I'm the Executive Director of City Tree. I'd like to start off by saying, Councilman Goods, I'm very sorry for your loss. It's amazing when we have somebody like that in our lives. It just changes things, and it's good that we recognize that. I spent a few years fighting for trees in this room. I've had a few wins and a lot of losses, but I was always proud of the process. The fact that the citizens can fight for trees in the city was admirable. But I never realized, even when we lost, that the deck was so stacked and the system was so corrupted. Then John Dingfelder was forced off this council. Revealed a hard truth to accept in the city we loved, that a well-funded group of powerful men and women have gained control over elected officials with a promise of money or a threat of legal reprisal if they don't toe the line, compounded by an administration hell-bent on development at all costs. They have an agenda. They have the right people in their grips. And they have the money and legal firepower to put, if not the fear of God, the fear of litigation into any representative who might cross them. John Dingfelder crossed them, and he was dealt with brutally. Everyone here knows it, and anyone who's been paying attention knows it. The mayor didn't ask John Dingfelder to resign. This council didn't ask John Dingfelder to resign. And you, the people, you certainly didn't ask John Dingfelder to resign, and John Dingfelder did not want to resign. John Dingfelder was forced out of office by a developer. Unable to pay to fight them, he had no choice but to resign. And that should, regardless of your politics, make you very, very mad. Because the very idea that an elected official can be forced to resign by lawyers and developers strikes at the very heart of our democracy. So what do you do with this anger? Well, you come down here and line up against the wall and take your 3 minutes to talk and give anyone who counts an earful. These council members, the mayor, her staff, probably a few county commissioners. It's your right. Or you could wait to make your voice heard at the ballot box. I suspect someone will be willing to give this complicit administration a run for their money considering recent events. Or you could donate to the GoFundMe, started up to help John recover some of his losses incurred in fighting the developers. Just go to GoFundMe, type in Defend Dingfelder in the search box, and go from there. It's a great way to feel like you did something, and believe me, when a group of people who don't understand anything but money and voters sees us hand $65,000 to John Dingfelder raised $10 at a time, that'll get some attention. It just may take some of your anger away. You can make your donations anonymously.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, yes, sir. Please state your name.
Good morning, Council. Ernest Coney with the CDC of Tampa. Councilman Goose, always in my prayers. I'm here to support the Rome Yard project. When we look at that project and think about it from a community engagement perspective, there was a lot of community meetings on that project for the community to give input on everything from amenities to all types of equitable and diversion and inclusion to be included in that process to make sure that small businesses, both Hispanic and African American, are included on that project. Also, the foresight to understand, we talked about the skills gap and the importance of having workforce initiatives. Part of this is also to make sure that there is a training space there on the project as well. So we want to make sure that we can work with the elementary schools and the high schools there so that we can train young folks on the trades, as well as introducing them to professional degrees as well. So you have engineers, you have architects, you have urban planners that we can start at a very early age introducing them to these concepts. And of course we know that a lot of residents are looking for jobs. Oftentimes people walk by projects and they're seeing other people working and they're not working. So we want to make sure that we train those residents to work on those projects there at the Rome Yard project. And then again, when it's all said and done and it's finished, there will be a training center there so we can look at what are the other fastest growing industries that are taking place. Is it healthcare? Is it innovation? Is it IT? So we can continue this training process. And then, of course, we know that there will be small businesses there that will also need the support of a workforce training operation. So we've brought together the CDC of Tampa and the West Tampa CDC to really help with those components of community engagement and the workforce initiatives. So we're really excited to be a part of this process, and hopefully that this will be a tremendous project that we can really set as a best practice in how we move forward with other projects going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, next speaker, please state your name.
Robin Lockett. Good morning, Council.
Good morning.
I came down here to, in support of the complaint registry that is being heard later on today. But I noticed on the agenda also there is something around the 60-day notice of rent increase. I'm in support of that. I think council has an opportunity again to do something outside of the box, right? And not to follow a trend. Across the state, everyone's giving a 60-day.
Good morning, beautiful people.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
Everyone's giving a 60-day notice for a rent increase. When a person is dealing with the lack of affordable housing, the lack of finding affordable housing, the actual rent increase, and others, it'll take a person, we're pushing for a 90-day option, right, instead of the 60-day, to provide that person more time to be able to save their money, pay for the deposit, pay for the fees, and still pay rent where they are. So we're in support of it. We want it to be expanded. I sent information to 2 of the councilmen. I'll send it to everyone. All the information that we're sending out to the councilmen, I'll send it to everyone so you can review it. But it's a great opportunity for us to do something different and provide a different way for people. We are, like I said, in support of the complaint registry, where it holds accountability to the landlords, right? It has to hold accountability to the landlords. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir, please state your name. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Malik Lukman Abdullah, and I suppose it's still morning anyway. Whatever the greeting would be, accepted in the appropriate time frame that is presented. My issue is the affordable housing. Let's go back some years and look at how do we get here in terms of this housing situation, or the people of low income or minimum income not being able to afford housing. It comes from greedy men that oppressed people that didn't have anything, oppressing them even further. So what we want to do, we want to represent these people, and let's stop this. Let's make sure these people that are low income, no income, or even people that have been oppressed for many, many years by European Americans. That includes you guys. You guys that's Europeans up here. You all are part of that problem, and you are benefiting from it. So I don't know if you guys want to stop it. You got a collective minds here that can stop it. So what is the problem that keeps you from stopping it? Perhaps it's your pocketbook, the greed that we all have in us. So we're looking at a people that have been oppressed 400 years, 400 plus years. Are we willing to stop it? No, because again, we're benefiting from it. So if you want to do something about it, talk to those people that's suffering that. Ask them, how can we do this? Get them involved. Put your antennas out there and talk to these people. See what can be done. There's something that can be done. You make the rules, and you also break the rules, and you break the rules when it's appropriate or when it's beneficial to you that make the rules. So we can stop this with a little application, intelligent application, concern for your fellow man. We are your fellow man. I represent that people that's been oppressed. I'm not oppressed anymore because I don't allow myself to be oppressed. However, those people that have been oppressed, they don't know and don't see the way out. In this whole situation, in this housing thing and restoration of rights and prison reform, et cetera, these things are being prostituted, sold to the highest bidder, sold to the person that can garnish the most money for people that stack in their pocket or pack in their pocket with the blood, sweat, and tears of these poor people. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Lynn Myers, and I live in zip code 33629, South Tampa. And I want to thank you for the opportunity for me to address you this morning. Pretty much, I want to follow up with what the last two speakers had to say. 44% of the people who live in Tampa are renters. In 2021, there was a 24% increase in rents in this city. It continues to rise. I've read in the newspaper so many cases. I have some personal experience, mostly from my children's friends who are graduating from college now. They're trying to go out to find an apartment to live. They have a fairly low-wage jobs. They can't afford an apartment in Tampa. Maybe they can afford it an hour and a half north of here, but they can't afford to work in Tampa and live in Tampa. And people who work for minimum wage. There's no way that a person making minimum wage can afford to live in the Tampa area.
You got that right.
And it especially affects people of color. And it affects all of us, but especially people of color. And we should all care about everyone who lives in our city. Because those who live in our city, all of us, whether we make a lot of money or whether we make low wages, we all participate here. We all live here. We work here. We spend money here. Anyway, what I want to say, which seems to be obvious to everyone, but I think which is overlooked, is that shelter, food, and water are basic necessities. And people in Tampa, many of us, cannot have shelter. It's very nice that we're going to give an extra amount of time to notify renters of that their rent is going to go up. But if they can't afford to pay it, what does that matter? So I'm here to say that I'm appealing to your humanity. And I am imploring you to do the right thing and to declare a housing state of emergency in Tampa so that rent control can become effective. Please do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pastor Williams, are you next, sir?
No, go ahead. You have a little bit for me.
Yes, ma'am, please state your name.
Good morning. My name is Barbara Van Arisdale. I'm 71 and I've been disabled for a long time. I suffered a stroke 4 years ago during a hurricane in Broward County. Was unconscious 3 weeks, woke up paralyzed with my left arm to move, and that was it. I went home to die. I had a special needs son who turned 26 that year, who was still living with me, who was moving to Estonia to get married. We never thought he'd get there. Not only did he get there, but I got my condo on the market for sale a year ago and back out in public 3 years ago, going through my neighborhood and community, trying to make the housing situation safer for my neighbors who are all being forced out of their condos. I watched how the condominium, the attorneys, and the realtors bullied us and forced us out of our homes. And there wasn't a thing anybody could do to stop it. No matter what I said and did at meetings, I was shut down from every level illegally, and nobody came to my rescue. It got so bad I finally went out under the name of Barbara Bunny with bunny ears on to get attention of the mayor and the politicians and pled with them. We are losing our homes. Our condominiums are being lived in by people from other countries are here illegally, paying 3 times what we can afford, and nobody's stopping them. I am one of the few people left that own, and I'm here living by myself, getting injured and hurt daily, and documentation from every source of legal aid to the realtors, to Broward Lawyers Care. Nobody helped me. I begged for them to stop the lien on my condo to be recognized as illegal. And I was told by Broward Lawyers Care, pay the shysters. They always win. You have no recourse. Well, I paid them. First time in my life I paid shysters because I always fight for what's right. They turned right around and billed me more money, wanted me to pay more money, and extorted me. From that point on, I refused, and 4 years I spent by this little nick of my life, knowing at any moment I could be out of my home with no place to go and no family here, on Social Security. Well, I finally sold my condo, but trying to sell it, even the commissioner in the city of Margate tried to list it $30,000 under value. If I didn't know what I was doing, I would have been cheated there too, but I asked him to leave when I knew what he was doing. Meanwhile, I went to a condo closing without legal aid helping me when I begged for them to help me for 4 years and have their follow-up letters right here. And they said there was nothing they could do, I was on my own. They did a closing without even telling me what they were doing and tried to get me to sign an addendum saying I was going to rent my condo back for $1,200 a month because they held my closing up for 4 months, so it was spring break and I had nowhere to move to now. They left me in the lurch. The person that bought my condo is from another country. Don't know who he is. The realtor, he's from another country. He works out of Aventura. He didn't come to the closing. He was on the phone saying, sign this. This is what you should sign. It's exactly what you want to sign. It was saying if I move from my condo and sell at this price today, not only am I going to be a renter, I don't have any legal rights except I have to maintain that condo and all repairs that go along with it as an owner with no privileges.
Thank
They
you very
scammed
much.
me.
Thank you.
Now, in Tampa,
No,
I
ma'am,
rented
thank
a
you very
place.
much.
I'm sorry, I didn't even get to the Tampa story. I was asked to sign a lease yesterday saying I have to give them 60-day notice to move or I have to pay $1,800 this year. And given no notice, my May 1st is my first year in Tampa. With no notice, my Social Security doesn't even cover it, and it should be condemned. It's 288 square feet with rodents, rats, no disability access. My wheelchair won't go on the sidewalk. I fall out, and this is why I'm here today. I came from Broward to get a better house, and this is where I'm at in Tampa. Housing won't, I'm on the wait list, but I can't even get an appointment to meet with them. I need help. I don't want to be homeless May 1st.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I got confused and rattled when I get excited. Excuse me for going on.
That's all right.
You can back me up down, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You've been through a lot.
I fell last Friday in front of Social Security, and I'm pretty injured. But I got home.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, Councilman
Thank you.
Vieira.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mr.
I wouldn't be here.
Oh, were you? Oh, okay, you're gonna, okay, I was gonna have my office, but if Mr. Bennett, okay, there you go, nothing, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bennett.
All right, thank you very much. Next speaker, please.
Good morning.
Yes, please state your name. Good morning.
My name is Irma Celestine, and I live at 812 West Columbus Drive. My zip code is 33602. I have been coming here in the past. What happened in 2004, out of nowhere, right in the middle of the street, it was on the weekend, not weekdays. Someone, well, I understand Department of Transportation or the city, they had me going around since 2007. That's when I brought to their attention that my house was vibrating. from whatever type of work they had done on the street. Meanwhile, they send me all over. I think basically I know by now everybody in the city, from Mayor Pam, my apology, trying to pronounce her last name.
Iorio?
Yeah,
Yes.
and also from her all the way to, not the new mayor, the one passed, anyway. Nobody ever really paid attention to the problem I've been having. It's the structure of the house, because it vibrated. It's been vibrating. My children moved 15 years ago. My mother wants to live with me. Actually, I've been living for more than 15 years at the house by myself because I was afraid having someone else living in the house with me. And anyway, I've been there for 30 years. I can't afford going and get another place. Price is so expensive. The thing is, what I notice in, well, a lot of cities, especially Tampa, that's where I've been living, the structure, the foundation, you people are not paying attention to that. That's where we walk. That's where the car drive. That's where it sustains everything on the surface. You have people doing a little lousy work, I would say. And those that are, they give favor, contract to do the work, I'm wondering who goes behind them and see if the work was done properly. And it's not just me. From the bridge all the way to North Boulevard, it's all screwed up. I don't know, I mean, sometimes I don't sleep in my house, I mean, inside of my house, because it seems like from the beginning, it's a long story. Anyway, I want somebody to tell me what I must do, because that's my intention, to remain where I am. I don't have the kind of money to move on. And I'm tired of going from the city to the Department of Transportation. I need...
Councilmember Goods.
I remember you talked to me last week about that. We sent that over to the county because our city folks say that the county worked on that road out there.
No, it's not a problem with the county. It's a problem of the city of Tampa because it's underneath where the water and all the sewer and all the things. Who takes care of that?
Right, but what I'm saying, ma'am, is that whenever they went out there and whatever work they did, it unsettled the underneath ground. So if it's unsettled, maybe they can go out and see what happened. But the city didn't.
They know what they've done, sir. Excuse me. I'm just tired of the this and that and blaming on the person. Nobody has taken responsibility to tell me what
and I agree. That's why when my office found out who did the work out there, we sent it over to Hillsborough County because they did the work. So they're the responsible party to go out there to see what was done or what wasn't done.
Let me tell you something, sir, without cutting you. I apologize. I went to the county. What the county did, I spoke to several people, and I had pictures for way back. They delete the pictures. Somebody did something to it.
All right, well, what I'm going to do, I'm going to reach out to the county again, to Ms. Meyer's office, to reach out to you, and hopefully we can get some kind of resolution for you, okay?
It has to be, because I'm not moving. I can't afford the houses out there.
I understand.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and I'll be back too.
Next speaker, please. Yes, sir, go ahead. Please state your name.
Not Tampa, Florida. One of the things you have to know, you can't stop capitalism. So rent increases, rent decreases, inflation, you can't stop capitalism. Putin right now is in Ukraine trying to stop capitalism. And the people that screaming inflation and high prices, they screaming they're against Russia in a certain way. So only socialism can stop capitalism. So that's the big picture. The gentleman here named it best. It's a lot of people pimping the situation and pimping black people, talking about prisoners' rights, restoration, rent increases, what they doing for the African, whatnot. It's a pimp game, none more, none less. We African people right here in this soil have been 400 years oppressed. 400 years oppressed. And they pimping us. People got to pay for driver's license, pay for being a returned citizen, and all this stupidness. The fact of the matter is, 98% of African people shouldn't go to prison in the first MF in place. In the first place, they shouldn't have went to prison. So unless you're talking about reparations, you're just pimping the situation. And this city owes us reparations. So as a matter of fact, from today, Thursday, April 21st, 2022, Alderman Tisnot is hereby calling in this city of Tampa County, this city council, to immediately appoint a committee to study the exact amount of reparations that this city of Tampa owe African people based on the city budget since 1885, or since the city of Tampa was formed to the current date of Thursday, April 21st, 2022. Stop playing games with African people. The same way the mayor can put a program into place to investigate the actions or personal behavioral patterns of Orlando Goods is the same way we African people of the city of Tampa want this mayor and this city council to implement a program to study the reparations questions so we as African people can know exactly how much this city of Tampa owe African people in reparations for discriminatory practices since 1885. Using diversionary tactics of investigating black politicians, giving petty cooking contracts to black entrepreneurs, appointing token talking head Negroes to meaningless positions, and trying to carry out business as usual by denying black people in this city of Tampa what is rightfully ours is done and over with. We are 26% of this population, and we want 26% of this city budget. Plain and simple. I don't care if we spend it on beer. We want 26% of this city budget. And all this diversionary tactics about whatsoever it is. Black people, we've been getting kicked out of homes and moved around for 100 and some years in this city. So all that have to stop.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes, I agree. We have to make it stop.
Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Captain Frank Williams, located 1112 East Scott Street. I've been coming down here for many years, but never get no result. I guess because they look at the color of my skin and they say, well, that's a black man. Regardless, I don't come here to represent black or white. I come here to represent Jesus Christ. I'm going to read some scripture to you what God gave to me. If I shut up the heaven, that there be no rain. That's coming from 2 Corinthians 7:13 and 14. And there be no rain. Or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence to destroy the land. He said, but if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and turn from their wicked ways, then will I hear from heaven and I'll heal the land. I want y'all to know that y'all might be city councilors, but who's in control of this land is God Almighty. And I know y'all don't want to hear that. You think you're in control. I've been coming down here for many, many years. And when I first started coming out here, you didn't have nothing but white folks on the platform. But now they got a black man up there and they're trying to get rid of him. But we got to understand, I don't come here to represent black folks. I come here to represent Jesus Christ, who's the love of my life and blessed me all these many years. You know, I got a church on 1112 East Scott Street. The white folks want the land. They don't want the church to be resolved there. But I'm still there. And I spent a lot of money to stay there during the time that I've been there. But they don't care. They want to give me some pennies for my property and they just overlook me. I got a parking lot in the back there. They done fenced all of that in. I done come to the Cold people, told them to invite them down there. You know what they do? They told me I'm standing on private property. That church was built in 1998, and they got down on their record where it was built in 1924. But the people that had the plaque up there in Tampa, they took the plaque with them once they got out of there. But I got to let you all know, we trying to do God's business, and we want you all to respect mankind. Don't just look at the color of people's skin. Oh, we're going to do this here. For South Florida just left out of here. Y'all gonna do everything you can for them, but you ain't gonna do nothing for me or my church. And now I'm in trouble because I want y'all, and I come and protest that y'all will acknowledge my church. If y'all want me out of 1112 East Scott Street, pay me some funds. I'd be glad to get out of that. Because the way y'all treating me, you mistreating not just me, you mistreating my people. And I don't like it. And
Thank you
God
very
don't
much,
like it
sir.
either. And we got to try to do the right thing. Now, if y'all got what you call gay rights, homosexual rights, prostitution rights, y'all need to give me my right. And
Thank you very much, sir.
And that right is called nigger right. Give me some right.
Thank you very much,
I
sir.
try to do everything that's right before the people and try to respect God with everything I got in me.
Thank you
But
very
y'all
much.
messing over us.
Thank
big
you very
time.
much.
I want y'all to come, one of y'all, somebody, come down to 1112 East Scott Street and see where they're gonna fence me in. I can't even get to the back of my church. That's ridiculous. That's not, don't even make no sense. But ain't none of y'all gonna come down there.
I'd like to come down there. How do I get in
Okay,
contact
why don't you
with
come down there? Look at, let me know when you can come down there. And I want you to come down there. And I can show you the injustice goes on around my church.
Lisa, if you're watching, can you speak with the gentleman and get his contact information? I know where the church is at, so if we can
Who
just
do I
get a
need to
phone
speak
number.
to?
I'm sorry?
Who you say I need to speak to?
No, my aide is going to come out and get your phone number. So.
I appreciate it, and God bless all of y'all. Try
Thank
to
you
do the
very
right
much.
thing in the sight of God. And I guarantee
Here she is. So.
you'll get progress.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, good morning, Connie Burton. I used to know scripture points, but my grandmother always said that a person's name at death is better than at birth. And so that's why we are honoring Sister Debbie this morning. Even in some of my worst days here, she would say it would get better. My deepest condolence to her and her family. So what we are hearing this morning is, of course, the issues of the people always, whether it is banning the bots, making sure people get justice on the back end and restoring the rights, giving folks opportunity to move forward, rent stabilization. The people are calling on you to lead by example, to do some things that's out of the ordinary, that even if we have a city council, a city government that is used to working with developers, you yourself as, family people, meeting your constituents in the grocery store, you hear it all the time. Let us try something different here in this city. I keep talking about the issues of accessory dwelling units. That's something we can try. Maybe you don't like that structure of a container. Let's try something different. I believe Tampa can be the model. I am hoping that when you're looking at this agenda today, that we just don't sign off with people that we think that will be able to produce a result that we haven't gotten in the past. Very bluntly, some of the apprentice programs have not worked. They have not worked. They look good on papers. Their numbers might add up. But when we are in our community asking why people are not employed, it's because it don't have full vision. So I'm hoping that you stay laser focused, whether it's the Rome Yard, whether it's the Hannah Street project, the water, all of it. Make sure that our partners are doing right by the people, and if they're doing right by the people, we're gonna be all right. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Mr. Ralph? No? Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning,
Peter
sir.
Ralph, 401 East Jackson Street. It's very fitting after a lot of this public comment about the affordable housing crisis that today at 1:30 you all have a chance to approve the Rome Yard project. As others have said this morning, the project isn't just about housing, it's about a holistic community and creating services and opportunities for small businesses to create a true live, work, play environment that's not only within our urban core or our growing urban core, but also connected to the Riverwalk and to other bike and walk connections to allow people to maybe not even need to have a car and use other services to get to and from where they need, but also to walk within their community to get food, to get a meal, to have a place of business, etc. One thing you should also note is that the development team of Related Urban and the Tampa Housing Authority, along with the CDC of Tampa and the West Tampa CDC, have committed to building to the most robust green building standards, the USGBC's LEED Silver standard for all of their buildings, and is also committed to looking at the site design to connect these buildings with healthy design principles similar to the principles that are used at Water Street, the WELL building standards, the WELL neighborhood development standards, LEED for neighborhood development, et cetera. So there are some really good opportunities here today to approve at 130, 954 affordable and mixed income units. And I encourage you all to please support it and also know they're doing great work on the West River, and Peter and Albert and their team, as well as the Housing Authority, are great partners. They have open ears, and they are good, true partners to this community, and I hope that you all will support what they're doing today.
Sir, how many did you say in affordable units?
I think it's 80% of the 954, I think, is that right? Yeah.
Okay, there's different categories.
Yes, some of them don't, but some of them are like 140% AMI, so they're not actually you're right.
So I'm sure this afternoon they'll be happy to
thank you very much,
get down
sir.
into the details.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all very much.
Next speaker.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to address you. I come here.
Your name, please.
Excuse me. Sorry. My name is Amon Bradford. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, student at USF. I didn't have. I heard about this meeting about the runaway rent prices. It feels like, for me, I've had a lot of difficulty using my VA home loan because I'm competing against a lot of people who are just putting down money down, and it leaves me without an option to really get a decent home for myself and my family. Now, I have a friend. She's also a former Marine. She's a single mother, and she's actually dealing with a month-to-month basis, and they're increasing her monthly rate $200 each month. So they're basically trying to force her out, and you know, I just don't think that that's right, especially when there's a lot of new money coming into the state, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people are taking advantage of that, and I'm afraid that we're gonna see a lot of homeless people, and I really hope that there's something that you guys can do with this rent regulation or something to keep people from having to go through that. And that's it. Thank you.
You very much, sir. Next speaker. Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning. I'm Julius Davis, President and CEO of Voltaire. I do want to support the Rome Yard. Related Urban is definitely committed to minority firms such as mine. We're the design side of the project is a great opportunity for us. Amongst other minority firms, they have really committed in the past, and they are really committing now. I am a native, fourth generation native of Tampa. It's great to see Tampa expand the way it's expanding, and it feels great to be a part of something to help Tampa grow and to provide housing for those that are challenging living in the growing city the way it is now with the rates. But I do want to voice my opinion that my company, amongst many other women and minority-owned firms, are part of this establishment. It's a great opportunity to help us grow, to hire local talent, as well as internships for USF and HCC. So that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right.
Next speaker? Yes, sir, please state your name.
Good morning. My name is Ernie Dubose, CEO of Ducon LLC and Ducon Plumbing LLC, both Tampa minority African-American owned construction company and plumbing company. I'm here to voice my support with someone who was born in Tampa. I have not lived in Tampa most of my life, but I was born here, parents of University of Tampa and USF. To see what Rome Yard, the opportunities that this project offers, to see what the team that Related has brought together. My firm, we travel across the state, partnering with larger construction management firms. We travel across the state participating in such projects. The Rome Yard team that has been put together is unprecedented. You can go to the airport and look at who's working out there. You can go to previous city projects, county projects, other municipalities. If you look at the businesses that were accumulated, particularly Tampa-based Black-owned businesses for this project based on the location, there is no project that has done such in the recent history at least, and I doubt in any history as far as the Black business involvement, particularly for the community that it's in. The partners that are assembled not only have a plan, but we have proven history of executing inclusion for local, women-owned and minority-owned businesses, not only in this area, region, but across the state. So I'm here to speak, obviously, in support of the Rome Yard project. I'm here to put my name and my business on the line for the commitment of 40% local and minority-owned, 25% Black-owned business contracting commitment. I'm that confident in the plan we have. I'm that confident that we have the best plan. And I'm that confident that we have the people at the table, the related resources, the financial resources, the human capital to execute the plan that was submitted and committed to. I'm a proud member of the team. I could go into speaking the opportunity it provides for my business, the selfish intent, because no other developer has given us, to date, has given us such an opportunity. Usually we have to come in under a larger majority company, whether it's a Suffolk or Manhattan or some other firms we partner with. Related came to us and provided us a direct opportunity as a Black-owned local business to be a prime general contractor on a multi-million-dollar project. I don't know of anybody else who have done that in this region or probably around the state. So I'm in support of this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Joe Robinson.
Joe Robinson, resident of West Tampa since 1962, before and during segregation. Vice Chair of the West Tampa CRA CAC, Vice Chair of the West Tampa CDC, Second Vice President of the NAACP, Economic Development Chair of the NAACP. The West Tampa CRA CAC comments have been incorporated in a revised revision of these two agreements today. History is being made, Mr. Goose. How long you been talking about a community benefit agreement? How long me and you been fighting for it, man? Now it's at the table. It's here. You heard minority contracts being utilized. It's here. We've been waiting 60 years to get this kind of development in West Tampa, driven by the community, spoken by the community, the west side of the river speaking. We want this. We need this. It's gonna happen if you vote on it. You can debate it, but it's here. One other thing, sidebar action. First of all, we would love to have the permit for special events on Main Street coming up, item 14, and we need to have this appointment for this minority business development contract compliance officer, Mrs. Bonnie Ayler, item 18, back to Rome Yard. Listen, man, I took a beating just like you, Carson, just like you, Goose, with the Tampa Bay Times and Charlie Frago, talking about I got kickbacks and all this nonsense. It's called tortuous interference with a contract. Keep messing with it, Times. I'm here to say this. Whether you like it or not, West Tampa is moving forward. Please don't stop us. Please don't put roadblocks in the way. We come a long, long way. I've been dealing with this for over a year and a half. It's finally in front of you. It's finally for you to see what we've been working on. I've given all of my life and time on this, took the heat from everybody, including NAACP, the player haters, and everybody. But I'm here today to say that I'm standing up for what is right. I'm speaking out for what our community, my community, where I've been all my life in the Scaglione house. Charlie, you know how it is in West Tampa. See, Troll, don't be laughing.
I'm not laughing, I'm enjoying
And all I
it.
can say in my last 30 seconds, I ask that you look at this. It has Cultural Arts Center. It has Workforce Center. It's giving the community what we want. We spent a lot of time on this, man. I spent a lot of my time free. F-R-E-E, free. Professional engineer, free. And with that, I'm going to say, man, y'all can hear everything. I got a meeting at 1:30 that I'll be here unless they cancel it. And I'm going to go out and smoke these Charlie Cuban cigar. My daughter brought it back from Nassau, Bahama. Real Cuban, okay? Romeo and Juliet, number 2, brother. That's all I'm going to say. Give us a chance, and we ask that you give us favorable consideration this afternoon on these 2 resolutions for the land disposition agreement and for the community benefit agreement. Never been one. St. Pete ain't got one, Mr. Goose. Make history.
Thank you very much, sir. Who wants to follow Joe Robinson? All right, anybody else? If not, we're going to go to the virtual speakers. We have a few online. All right, seeing none. The first speaker I have is Mr. Michael Randolph.
Good morning, Michael. If you're on the line, please unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
My name is Michael Randolph. I'm with the West Tampa CDC, and I'm so happy that we gotten here to this particular point. But I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you how we got here and why we got here. First, with no money and no office, the West Tampa CDC has put together a deal that not only includes folks getting businesses to start their own businesses, but also we're going to turn this into an $80 million impact in West Tampa, just from the West Tampa side of the table. Why do we do this? We do this because in the poor community, so many times they're overlooked. They see buildings coming up, but they know they're going to be genericized out of here. You got mothers that I've spoken to, they're so afraid. You got people that don't have jobs, and they're so afraid that they're going to be genericized out of this particular community. So that being said, let me talk about the good things and our relationship with this Rome Yard project. First of all, the West Tampa CDC wants to do a couple things. Reduce gentrification. Increase public safety by working with those with criminal records. Increase generational wealth by building a Black Wall Street in an African American community where people actually own businesses, and more importantly, create jobs into the city, increase sales taxes. 120 new resident jobs will be created. 120 new jobs will be created with an impact of over $88 million in terms of the project that we bring to the table. We plan to address the issue of low income, those with criminal records, those that have risk, your seniors, and those with supplemental income. It's time for West Tampa. So many times we see development come, but we get gentrified. This time, we're doing it differently. I want to thank the residents of West Tampa. If you're on the streets of West Tampa, today we win. If you're without a job and you're trying to figure out how you're going to pay your rent, but this deal right here, this time we win. I'm sorry I'm so passionate about it. Like Joe Robinson, we've been doing this for so long, but this time, it's time for West Tampa. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, I have Gene Strohmeyer.
Dean, if you're on the line, please unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Can you all hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Go
Great.
ahead.
Before I start, can I just ask a procedural question? At the beginning, you guys move all these items from here to there to there. Could y'all explain to some of us that, I mean, I've been listening to it for years, but I don't know why y'all decide to move it from one place to another, like consent to staff, and just if
The reason The reason that we do that is because the consent agenda goes so quickly. For example, we move item 10 to 20, and many times there's not discussion, so specific council members or anybody can ask that items be pulled for further discussion instead of just a quick vote. So those items that were pulled get put under staff reports so we can ask questions and go into further detail before we just say yes or no.
Okay, and I did hear Councilman Carlson mentioned why certain things, like something that would be such a public interest, is on the consent agenda to begin with. I did listen to that. I don't really feel that the answer was sufficient because I had an item down in my neighborhood that was on the consent agenda, and I specifically requested that it not ever show up on the consent agenda, but it did anyway. So just, maybe we can find a way to bring that a little bit more, in front so we don't have to fight to have things for public consumption and public comment, to be able to speak up on behalf of some of these items that show up on the consent agenda when should not be there. Just saying. Okay. With that said, my name is Jean Strohmeyer. I am here. There's a few agenda items that I am going to talk about, particularly here, the Rome Yard project. I just saw in the Tampa Times about this. It could be just another scandal or corruption within our city. I learned that the mayor's nephew works for this developer. The mayor's girlfriend, partner, or first lady works for the lobbying firm. The mayor said early on that her relationship with the #1 DNC lobbyist would not pose any conflict of interest in the relationship, but I am reading that is exactly what's happening. This started with ex-mayor Buckhorn, and then he from what I read in the paper, he conveniently dropped the project just before it was picked up by the mayor. Is this another Castor Mayor Buckhorn scandal? I mean, toilet to tap, remember that? Same scandal, different name. The Times quoted the mayor as saying that this parcel was long neglected but transformative. I mean, my point is we don't need every inch of unused space transformed or stolen from future generations. And it feels like that's what y'all are allowing. Cities should evolve and grow naturally, not be forced into unsustainable growth by corruption, power, and the never-ending likes of Bloomberg. Nobody should be able to take people's homes, our city of Tampa, and destroy its very character. But some of you just can't see it as better, yet refuse to see it. You don't vote on this and the corrupt contracts and such. You will be known forever as the ones who destroyed Tampa. Luke 8:17, speaking of the Bible, there is nothing in secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad. All will gradually become clear to them, whilst the night thickens over Israel on account of its unbelief. The disciples will advance into even further light until there is nothing left in plan of God, which is obscure or hidden. Nothing will be hidden that is secret, you guys. It's coming out. So make sure you're on the right side of all your decisions and really search your souls as to what Jesus would do. There's more, but have a great day.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Next, I have Albert Milo.
Chair, Albert Milo, David Ilonia, Peter Van Warner, and Syria Yafar, all registered. However, they did not log in to speak.
Okay.
So we're going to be moving on to Russ Webb. Russ, if you're on the line, please unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you very much. Russ
Good morning,
Webb.
Council.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much for giving me this opportunity today. I'm Russ Webb, Tampa 33684. I'm the executive director for the Bay Area Apartment Association that represents the apartment industry in Greater Tampa Bay. I'm filling in today for our government affairs director, Eric Gardenia, which I believe has had an opportunity to speak with several of you about the notice of rent increase ordinance. That's up for the first reading today. This ordinance requires a 60-day notice for rent increases and lease agreements with a specific term, and requires a 30-day notice to terminate month-to-month leases from either the resident or the landlord. I wanted to note that we do have some concern that the ordinance may conflict with state law, that may exceed a local jurisdiction's authority, but we're working with some attorneys to examine that. And once that's done, we'll let you know what we find out. But that said, we are glad to see that the rent increase notice in this ordinance is at 60 days instead of the 6 months that was originally discussed. It's a much more realistic period to consider. The fact is that between the fluctuations in costs, the overall pace of inflation, and the changing market conditions, it is impossible for a landlord to set a realistic price unit 6 months in advance. Further, Florida statutes currently prohibit landlords from requiring residents to tell us more than 60 days from the end of their lease if they're going to stay in their unit or release it. That means in the best case scenario, we only have 60 days notice of what vacancies in apartment homes are available to offer. While 60-day notice is a much more realistic notice period, we also feel the ordinance is unnecessary because with current industry practice and requirements under the state law, most residents with leases receive their lease renewal offers, which include, of course, any applicable rent increases between 45 and 75 days before the end of their lease term. So to a large degree, people are already getting the notice that this ordinance calls for or close to it. Regarding the notice change in the month-to-month lease, we are definitely concerned that's going to have unintended consequences. And the reason why is under state law today, the resident or the landlord can terminate a month-to-month lease with 15 days notice before the end of the rental period. In practice, that means a resident has about 2 weeks at the beginning of the month to end their lease by the end of the month. So many residents who want month-to-month leases is because of flexibility. But requiring 30 days notice will make it almost impossible for them to give notice of lease termination in the same month. Residents will then be on the hook for an additional month's rent because of this ordinance if the division moves forward. We think you maybe want to consider a 21-day notice period, which would give folks about a week at the beginning of a rental period on month-to-month to end that lease. We do understand the context in which this ordinance is being proposed, and many today have talked about the current rental market, and the affordable housing crisis, and the supply issue that we're facing right now. But I think everyone can agree that we've been through an unprecedented period right now. That said, we ask that you keep in mind that changing the law in response to what is a temporary condition and changing it from what's common and known practice across the state could create a patchwork of rules that will make it much more difficult for residents to know their rights and for the professionals who manage rental homes to operate. Thank you so much for the time today to speak.
Thank you very much. Did Julius Davis speak in person? Okay, I'll take him off the list here. All right, that concludes the registered speakers. All right, any requests by the public for reconsideration of legislative matters? If not, we will go to item number 4. Yes, sir, Councilman Carlson.
If I could just say something to set this up, especially in lieu with all the public comment that we've heard. We had a discussion a few weeks ago on this housing crisis, and we've got a number of things that we're moving forward. But one of the pieces of feedback that we got from the public was to propose a 6-month notice period. And so I think I made the motion, and we approved having this come before us today. However, legal in a few minutes is going to tell us that by state law we can't have a 6-month notice period. So I just want to let the members of the public know that we did attempt not just a 90-day notice period, but a 6-month notice period. But it turns out that the most we can do is 60 days, and we just heard from the apartment association they might even challenge the month-to-month part of it. But depending on what legal says, I would recommend we step forward anyway. The other thing is that just for the folks in the public who have spoken about the rental crisis and the housing crisis, we have a workshop set for May 26th where we're going to ask the public to come in with ideas. We've been researching our own ideas, staff's been researching ideas, but there are a lot of people in the public that have specialized expertise in this. And in the last meeting we had, there were ideas that were presented. Most of the feedback that we got was around rent control, which is very severely restricted by state law and I think hasn't been done in 20 or 30 years. I personally think it will have an adverse impact on renters because the landlords will raise rates in advance of the 1-year maximum that would be allowed. But what we're asking for is to come with other ideas. We don't know everything, and we know the public has lots of ideas, and we hope on May 26th that folks will come with more ideas that we can listen to. And the overriding issue, as was mentioned, is there's a shortage of affordable homes. We have a 50,000 unit shortage that we're trying as quickly as possible to fill, and we've got a shortage of units in general. So we're working on all different levels to try to address those issues.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Councilman Goods.
Thank you for that, Mr. Carlson. Gentlemen, I did speak with the folks in Miami, the legal team in Miami that are working on the emergency crisis for housing. And there's a team with some other coalitions that are working to look at the study. I know that I'd asked our folks here when they came back on that workshop to look at a study as well. So hopefully we'll get some answers about that study, Mr. Carlson. But I know Miami is working on a study right now.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Rebecca Johns, Assistant City Attorney. I am here with the draft ordinance, which you requested. As Councilman Carlson stated, he requested a 6-month notice for a landlord to provide before they raised a rent. Florida statutes provides that if a lease requires advance notice of non-renewal of a lease, that notice period is limited to 60 days. So advising of a rental increase is the equivalent of a non-renewal or renewal terms. Therefore, that's why I limited it to the 60-day period. This ordinance would also require that a month-to-month lease could not be terminated unless you have 30 days notice. Right now, it is 15 days. I did raise that to the 30 days in order to give the maximum time. That is up to you whether you want to, as the speaker spoke, reduce that to 21 days. That was just me just trying to take it to the max.
Yes, sir, Councilman Carlson.
So the Apartment Association said that they are looking into the legalities of the 30-day notice for month to month. Do you feel strongly that it will hold, or do you think
There is actually an Attorney General opinion from years ago that states that you can enlarge a notice period that's provided by the state, provided that it's not in conflict with the other portions of the state statute.
Okay. I'm happy to move the ordinance if...
Wait, Councilman Goods, anything, sir?
No, I was going to second. I'm satisfied with that.
Yes, sir, Councilman Vieira.
No, I just wanted to say I look forward to supporting this. I thank Councilman Carlson for bringing this forward. I remember the meeting. It was a very heated meeting. We're talking about a lot of different things that we can do and things we can't do. And Councilman Carlson came up with some things that we are able to do and move forward. And, you know, I know that all 7 of us are frustrated because we're dealing with such a large crisis. And on issues like this, we are limited, right? But it's good for us to be able to move forward on these things that we can do bit by bit by bit by bit to be able to address this crisis and do the most that we can here in the city of Tampa. So I just wanted to thank the councilman for this and all council members who I think will be supporting this. This is a really good endeavor, and look forward to supporting it.
Thank you very much. And I'll finish off by saying I'm a renter, my wife is a teacher, and I'm here. And we split the rent, and we're up for renewal in June, which is 60 days before our lease ends. I don't know what my rent is going to go up to. I mean, I know what we pay now, and it could go up $500 a month, $600 a month, $400 a month. I have family members, not going to name them, but they rent, and one just renewed, someone very close to me. Again, not going to name them, but she was terrified because it's her and her boyfriend. He manages a liquor store, and, you know, she has her job, and she didn't know what she was going to get hit with, and luckily it was only just under $200, but it's $200, especially when you go to the grocery store and it's $6 for a gallon of milk. And you go to get anything. Is it go to the grocery store and see? I mean, I go and I'm thinking, unbelievable, because wages aren't going up. So, you know, I understand what it means to be a renter. I'm glad that we're bringing this forward. I think we need to look at more options because we have a lot of people in this city that are hurting. And I know we have that workshop. Councilman Carlson brought it up, and I think we need to look at all options and put everything on the table to, you know, to help the people in this community. So, Councilman Carlson, you wish to read it, sir?
Yeah, just, I need to read the whole thing. I'd like to move file number E2022-8, Chapter 12, ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, amending the City of Tampa Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12, to add Section 12-146 and Section 12-147, increasing the notification period for month-to-month residential leases to 30 days, providing for a requirement that landlords provide 60 days prior written notice of a rental increase for residential leases, providing for enforcement and penalties for violations, amending sections 19.4A and 23.3-5D, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability and providing effective date.
Second from Councilmember Goods. Roll call, please.
Citro?
Yes.
Miranda? Hurtak?
Yes.
Carlson?
Yes.
Maniscalco?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yes.
And Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Miranda being absent at vote. Second reading and adoption will be held on May 19th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Citro, you are the chair of the Public Safety Committee. If you could move items 5 through 10.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move items 5 through 10.
We have a motion from Councilman Seacher. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Goods. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Councilmember Goods, you are the chair, 11 through 14.
Ooh, 11 through 14, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Carlson. All in favor?
Aye. Can I
Any
make a
opposed?
statement real fast?
Yes, sir.
I just want to say kudos to the public art people and whoever else was involved with item number 11. If you all haven't seen this artist's work, she just won the Gasparilla Music Festival Award. And just Google Art You Hungry Tampa, and her work is really phenomenal. I think she's going to be an international celebrity in the next couple of years. So thank you all for
And
supporting.
I'd also like to say, yes, I went down to her Water Street grocery store, and it was just truly amazing the things she's done.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Item number 14, Mr. Sherwood brought something to my attention. I know I had requested administration about the Juneteenth situation, and I did speak to administration. Thank you for reminding me. They're waiting for union contracts to be able to see how they can make this come to fruition for the community for Juneteenth as a
Yes, sir.
city holiday. Thank you.
Yes, sir. And echoing what Councilman Carlson said, I saw the renderings of this mural for the Gwen Miller Center, and it's amazing. If you don't know, Gwendolyn Miller is our former colleague, first black woman elected citywide in city of Tampa, and she served here for many, many years. So, did we moved that, correct? We did that, all right, so we're good there. Items, Public Works Committee, we have Councilwoman Hurtak, 15 through 17.
Looks like 17 has a staff report.
Do we have any, well, Councilmember Seacher, you wanted to make a comment on 15.
I'll wait until after everything is passed.
Do we have anything, I see Mr. Spearman transmitted a staff report for item 17. Was there anything additional to that? No, I think it may just be for informational purposes,
Okay.
also because of the amount, because it's $2.3 million.
Okay. I move items 15 through 17.
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Seacher, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Councilman Seacher, you wanted to talk about? 15?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would like to thank Dennis Rahiro, Gene Duncan, Brad Bear, and Dr. Bennett on item number 15. If we look very closely at the consent agenda, it says a decrease of almost $2.5 million. I don't think we get to brag that often about that. Well done to our city staff for saving the citizens of Tampa $2.5 million. Thank you.
Councilman Miranda.
Thank you, Chairman. 18, 19, and 22, holding 20 and 21.
All right, we move
Second.
items number 18 and 19 and 22. Second from Councilman Seacher, all in favor?
Aye.
20 and 21 will be at 1:30 as we discussed. Councilmember Carlson, you're the chair for 23 to 29, and 29 is a substitute resolution.
Yes, sir. I'd like to move 23 through 29, including the substitute resolution.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any opposed? All right. Who would like to?
Move items 30 and 31, Mr. Chairman. Item 30 for scheduled hearing June the 2nd at 1:30 in the year 2022, and 31 to May 5th at the council chambers on the 3rd floor. The 19th of May 5th, or and May 19th,
All right. We have a motion.
Second.
Yes, Mr. Shelby.
I'm sorry, Councilman Moran, just bring your attention, it's on the addendum as item 31, and it has a substitute.
substitute. All right.
All right. We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember. Who was the second?
I did.
Second from Councilman Seacher. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, may I have a motion to open the
So
9:30
moved, Chairman.
a.m. public hearing? Actually, if we could open the 9:30 a.m. and the 10:30 a.m.
So moved,
public hearing.
Chairman.
Wait, motion from Councilmember Good, second from Councilmember Miranda, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, any opposed? Okay, we go to item number 32. Let me just pull up my speaker list here. Okay, item 32, I see Ms. Malone on the line. Have you been sworn in?
Jennifer Malone with the Planning Commission. For plan amendments, I'm not sure if that is the
Oh,
procedure.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Legislative.
I just
No
saw
problem at
second
all.
reading, so go ahead.
Yeah, This is file number TA/CPA 2125. It's a portion of the Tampa Park Apartments, and the request before you is from Community Mixed Use 35 to Regional Mixed Use 100. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions of Ms. Malone? No, hearing none. Do we have a representative for this item here?
The representative is on the screen, yes.
Okay, we have Alex, Tyler, and Graham. If anybody wishes to speak. I see, okay, somebody from the Tyler Hudson's office. Do you have anything? Please unmute yourself.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Great, okay. Good morning, Alex Wheeler with Gardner Brewer Hudson. We are here representing, as Jennifer said, TA/CPA 2125. This was recommended for approval by Planning Commission and then was passed at Tampa City Council first reading, and we are available for any questions.
Any questions at this time? No, seeing none, hearing none. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 32? I see none. Can I get a motion to close?
Second.
Motion closed from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilman Miranda, would you like to read 32?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item number 32, file number TA/CPA 21-25. Orders being presented for second reading and adoption. Orders amending the Image 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Element, Future Land Use Map for the property located 1502 Nuncio Parkway, 920 Gomion Court, and 1314 Nuncio Parkway, from Community Mixed Use 35 to CMU 35 to Regional Mixed Use 100, RMU 100 in parentheses, providing for repeal of all ordinance in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Citro. Roll call vote, please.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Maniscalco,
Yes.
Vieira, and Goods.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Vieira being absent at vote.
Thank you very much. Item number 33.
Jennifer Malone with the Planning Commission. Item number 33 is property at 201 and 203 East Cluster Avenue from residential 10 to residential 20. You all approved this on March 24th, and I'm available for any questions.
Do we have any questions for Ms. Malone? All right. Do we have a representative for 33? Anything? And
I
don't see
don't
any.
believe the representative is on the line today, sir.
Do we have anybody registered for 33? I don't have anybody on my list. No? All right. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 33?
Move to close.
Move to close from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Citro. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Councilman Citro, would you like to read
Yes,
33?
thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Item number 33, file number TA/CPA 21-28. Ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance amending the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan, Future Land Use Element, Future Land Use Map for the property located at 201 and 203 East Cluster Avenue, from residential 10 R10 to residential 20 R20, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Second.
Motion from Councilmember Citro, second from Councilman Miranda. Roll call.
Goods,
Yes.
Miranda, Hurtak,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Vieira, Citro,
Yes,
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Vieira being absent at vote.
thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Item number 34. Go ahead, Ms. Malone.
Jennifer Malone again with your Planning Commission. Last but not least is item number 34. This is TA/CPA 21-30 for property located in the Palmetto Beach area from transitional use 24 to community mixed use 35. And I see the applicant again is Alex with the Alex and Tyler Hudson, but I'm available for any questions. Thank you.
Any questions? No questions? Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, Alex.
Good morning, Alex Shaler, Gardner Brewer Hudson again, here representing the case TA/CPA 2130. This was again approved at Planning Commission and also approved at first reading, and we are available for any questions if you have any.
Any questions at this time? Seeing, hearing none. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 34? I see
close.
no one. Move to close from Councilmember Good, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Councilwoman Hurtak, would you mind reading 34?
Absolutely. File number TA-CPA 21-30, ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption, an ordinance amending the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan, future land use element, future land use map for the property located at 2015 and 2017 Maple Avenue and 2020 Oakwood Avenue from Transitional Use 24, TU 24, to Community Mixed Use 35, CMU 35, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Motion from Councilwoman Hurtak, second from Councilman Miranda. Roll call.
Vieira. Citro.
Yes.
Miranda. Goode.
Yes.
Hurtak.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
And Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Vieira being absent at vote.
All right, next up, we have quasi judicial proceedings 35 through 40. If you're here to speak on 35 through 40, please stand. If you're here, raise your right hand and we'll swear you in. If you are speaking for 35 through 40.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give today is the truth and nothing but the truth?
All right, item number 35, Zain Hussein.
Thank you so much. Zain Hussein, Development Coordination, case REZ 21-115. This is for the being heard for second reading and adoption at the location 1502 North Nebraska Avenue, 1218, 1302, 1304, 1306, 1308, 1310, 1312, and 1314 East K Street, and 801, 803, 805, 807, 809, and 811 East 3rd Avenue. This is being proposed for rezoning from RM16 Residential Multifamily and YC5 Ybor City Historic District to PD Planned Development Residential Single Family Attached and Business Professional Office. Site plans were dropped off to the City Clerk's office 2 days ago. I'm here for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hussein? Thank you very much, sir. All right. Do we have anyone here for 35? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, council members. My name is Mark Bentley, 401 East Jackson Street, Tampa, 33602. I represent the applicant. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Bentley? No questions? Thank you very much. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 35?
Move to close.
Motion to close from Councilman Citro, second from Councilwoman Hurtak. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Item number 35, Councilmember Goods.
File number REZ-21-115, ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance rezoning property in the general vicinity of 1502 North Nebraska Avenue, 1218, 1302, 1304, 1306, 1308, 1310, 1312, and 1314 East K Street, and 801, 803, 805, 807, 809, and 811 East 3rd Avenue in the city of Tampa, Florida, and more particularly described in Section 1 from zoning district classification RM16 Residential Multifamily and YC5 Ybor City Historic District to PD Planned Development Residential Single Family Attached and Business/Professional Office, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Goods, second from Councilmember Miranda. Roll call.
Hurtak.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Vieira.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Goode.
Yes.
And Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
No Beatles trivia questions today?
I was waiting on
I'm out. So.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. Councilman Carlson.
I abstained from this last time, and I would like to please make a motion to receive and file my 8.
We have a motion from Councilmember Goods for Councilman Carlson to receive and file his form. Second from Councilmember Miranda.
I just need to say on the record, the company by whom I'm retained does business with the school board of Hillsborough County on matters not related to this application.
All right, we have a motion from Councilman Goods, Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, item number 36.
Thanks so much. Zain Hussein, Development Coordination. Agenda item number 36, case SU2 21-03. This is being presented for second reading and adoption. This is a special use permit SU2 approving a school in an RS60 residential single family zoning district at the location 4210 West Bay Villa Avenue. Site plans were dropped off on Tuesday to the clerk's office. I'm here for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hussein? Seeing none, do we have an applicant for 36?
Good morning, Julian Mandel, law firm of Gray Robinson, 401 East Jackson Street. I'm here representing the School Board of Hillsborough County. Appreciate your support of this project, and we look forward to continuing to educate our students. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Do you have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item 36? Motion to close?
Move to close.
Motion to close from Councilmember Citro, second from Councilman Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Councilman Carlson stepped out. Councilman Miranda, would you read item number 36?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. File number SU2/21/03. Ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. Ordinance providing a special use permit SU2, approving a school in an RS60 residential single-family zoning district in the general vicinity of 4210 West Bay Villa Avenue in the city of Tampa, Florida, more particularly described in section 1 thereof, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilman Vieira. Roll call.
Citro,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Goods,
Yes.
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Carlson abstaining.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Julie Mandel is a former city attorney here, so good to see you. Welcome back to City Hall. Thank you very much. Item number 37, Mr. Hussein.
Thanks so much, Zain Hussein, Development Coordination. Agenda item number 37, case AB 222-05. This is being presented for second reading and adoption. Is for an alcoholic beverage sales, small venue, consumption on premises, and package sales off premises consumption for beer, wine, and liquor at the address 520 East Nebraska Avenue. Site plans were dropped off to the city clerk's office on Tuesday. I'm here for any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Hussein? Hearing none, we have the applicant online. Please go ahead. Item 37. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry, we have to double mute. Good morning, Megan Smith with Gardner Brewer Hudson. On behalf of the applicant, 400 North Ashley Drive, we appreciate staff's help with all of this and are here for any questions.
We have any questions for the applicant? Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 37?
Move to close.
Motion to close from Councilman Citro, second from Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Councilmember Carlson, would you like to read item 37?
Sure. Thank you, sir. I'd like to move file number AB 2-22-05. Ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. Ordinance approving a special use permit S2 for alcoholic beverage sales, small venue, consumption on premises, and package sales off premises consumption, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcoholic content, beer, wine, and liquor on that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 520 East Nebraska Avenue, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in section 3, providing that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict are repealed, repealing ordinance number 2018-48, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilman Goods. Roll call.
Goods,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Hurtak,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, item number 38, Mr. Hussein.
Thanks so much, Zain Hussein, Development Coordination. Case 30, agenda item number 38, case AB 222-08. This is being presented for second reading and adoption for an alcoholic beverage sales, large venue, consumption on premises, and package sales off premises consumption. This is for beer, wine, and liquor at the address 203 North Meridian Avenue. Site plans were dropped off on Tuesday to the city clerk's office. I'm here for any questions.
Any questions for the gentleman? No. Do we have an applicant for item number 38? Yes, sir.
Good morning, Colin Rice, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 2800, here for the applicant, here for any questions. Thank
Any
you.
questions? Nope. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 38? Item number 38. Do we get a motion to close?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to close from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Vieira. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Councilmember Vieira, would you mind reading 38?
You bet. Move an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. Ordinance approving a special use permit S2 for alcoholic beverage sales, large venue, consumption on premises, and package sales off premises consumption, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcoholic content, beer, wine, and liquor on that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 203 North Meridian Avenue, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 3, providing that all ordinances or parts and ordinances in conflict or repealing AB 1, 1934, providing an effective date.
Second. We have a motion from Councilmember Vieira, second from Councilmember Miranda. Roll call.
Carlson?
Yes.
Hurtak?
Yes.
Miranda?
Yes.
Citro?
No.
Goods?
Yes.
Vieira?
Yeah.
And Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried with Citro voting no.
All right, item number 39. Do we have an applicant for 39 here today? They weren't here last time.
Actually, I am here.
Oh, you are here? Okay. All right, item number before you come up, item 39, Mr. Hussein?
Thanks so much. Zain Hussein, Development Coordination. Agenda item number 39, case AB2.
Wait, just a moment, sir. Mr. Shelby?
Yes, if I can, Mr. Chairman. Item number 39 is placed on this agenda pursuant to Council Rules of Procedure 6H, and that is because it resulted previously in a tie vote of 3-3, as outlined on your agenda.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hussein, go ahead.
Thanks so much. Zain Hussein, agenda item number 39, case AB2 20-11. There's a request for a special use 2 for small venue beer, wine, and liquor consumption on premises and package sales off premises consumption at the location 703 North Willow Avenue.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I can.
Yes, sir. Mr. Shelby.
With regard to this matter, this had been previously heard by City Council on September 23rd of 2021, February 24th of 2022, September 23rd of 2021, December 9th of 2021, February 24th of 2022, and I believe the applicant was not present on March 17th of 2022. That being the case, I have provided the previous hearings, the links to those, and the record as it is in Sire, and I've asked the Councilwoman Hurtak if she's had the opportunity to review the record and whether you're prepared to vote.
Yes, I reviewed the records and I am prepared to vote today.
Thank you. With regard to that, Council, the hearing is open. If there are any questions that you have, you can. Otherwise, you can close the public hearing, read the ordinance or not, whatever the Council's pleasure is, and then take the vote. Pardon?
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Any questions from council members? Nope. Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on 39?
If the applicant can come up and identify, please.
Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Hi, I'm Joseph Comesso. I'm the owner of 703 North Willow Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33606. I know we have a new member of the council. I'm asking for, I know the parking was an issue with a lot of the members on here. We have a 3-3 tie, so I guess, I don't know if there's a revote or I'm just talking to Ms. Hurtak on this. So
No, it's a revote.
It is a revote,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So we do have a parking lease with 1221 West Cass Street, which is owned by Soho Cass Street LLC. But according to the city and the rules, since they're only zoned for that particular property, that means I have no access to it. So even to go out and find other parking in the area, if I have a lease, which I do with another property at 1220, you guys still would not consider that because it is only zoned for that particular property to park at. So I'm kind of at a crossroads. What do I do to get more parking? I would just like a fair yay or nay vote from you guys. I think the neighborhood needs a brewery/restaurant, which is the plans for this property. Once, if we get approval, we will come back. We want to open a restaurant in this property eventually, so.
From my understanding, and this is my personal opinion, that neighborhood, North Hyde Park, correct?
Correct.
Generally, you know, they talk about walkability. They talk about riding their bike. You see the density in the apartments, the residential that's there. So, you know, would parking be an issue? That's you know, looking at this, do you even need that parking?
I don't think I need the parking because if you look at the residents that are there, they're young, they want a place like this to go to from the neighborhood. So I don't even think I need the parking. Now, will it be a place that is popular with people from other areas and want to drive in, and we have up to 40 spaces now, but you guys won't consider that because of the zoning that parking already has.
Mr. Shelby, I'm not testifying or anything, I was just giving an opinion, but is it okay what I said is, I mean, that doesn't affect the record or
Well,
anything?
let me say this, Mr. Chairman and members of council. Just a reminder that there is code provision, there are code provisions, or is a code provision that allows for parking, a lease for parking to be considered if it meets certain criteria. That's a design exception. And I believe that there's a record as to what happened with regard to the design exception. Mr. Hussein can answer that if council has any questions about it. But just a reminder, again, with regard to the fact that this was not acceptable to the city for whatever reasons, then what is before you is a parking waiver, which, irrespective of what the business is, runs with the land. So just a reminder to you that, and if you have any additional questions, you have the opportunity to inquire of staff or legal or the applicant before you make your decision. But
Thank you
just
very
that
much.
reminder, please.
Any questions from council members? Anything else, sir?
No.
Anybody else in the public wish to speak on this item, 39? We have no registered speakers. May I have a motion to close?
Second.
Motion closed from Councilman Good, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor? Aye. Aye. We left off with Councilman Citro. Are you comfortable reading this, sir?
I will be voting against this, so no, sir.
Okay. Councilwoman Hurtak, would you like to read it?
Sure. File number AB 2-20-11, continued public hearing, ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, an ordinance approving a special use permit, S2, for alcoholic beverage sales, small venue, consumption on site, on premises, and package sales off premises consumption, and making lawful the sale of beverages regardless of alcohol content, beer, wine, and liquor on that certain lot, plot, or tract of land located at 703 North Willow Avenue, Tampa, Florida, as more particularly described in Section 2, providing that all ordinances or part of ordinances in conflict are repealed, providing an effective date.
Second. We have a motion from Councilwoman Hurtak, second from Councilman Vieira. Roll call.
Vieira,
Yes.
Citro,
No.
Goods,
No.
Miranda,
No.
Pertek,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried with Miranda, Citro, and Goose voting no. Second reading and adoption will be held on May 19, 2022 at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you very much. Mr. Wigginton, are you up?
Item number 40, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Thank
40.
you very much. Good morning, Council. Ron Wigginton, Legal Department. Item number 40 is a continuation of the first reading to vacate an alleyway located in East Tampa. I'd like to remind City Council that it has wide latitude to either approve or disapprove the vacating request. Some of the factors you may want to consider in your deliberations include whether the vacating will relieve the public from the cost of maintaining the alleyway, which is no longer useful, whether it will alleviate a public nuisance such as dumping or curtail criminal activity, whether it will foster redevelopment of abutting properties, and whether the abutting property owner's access will be substantially diminished or completely cut off. I'd like to open the floor to Mr. Ross Sammons, who will provide his presentation, and I am available to answer any questions afterwards.
Thank you very much. Ross, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Ron. Ross Sammons, Development Coordination, presenting item number 40, file number BAC-22-07. I'd like to ask the clerk to share my screen, please. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
File number BAC-22-07. The applicant's name is Timothy B. Johnson. His property address is 2603 East Ida Street. His proposed vacating request is to vacate the east and west portion of an unapproved alley lying south of Ida Street, north of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, west of 26th Street, and east of 27th Street. This alley was created per subdivision plat of North Campobella and is located in East Tampa, north of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. The application was filed on January 8th of 2022. The applicant owns property on the north side of the east and west portion of the alley that is requested to be vacated. The applicant's reason for the application is as follows. Code enforcement says that I am responsible to maintain the alley. I'm happy to maintain the alley if I own my half of it. The applicant wants to remain and maintain property in an improved neighborhood. This alley is within the East Tampa Overlay District. No existing code violations are on this property. Again, the applicant is requesting to vacate the east and west portion of the alley located at 2603 East Ida Street. The existing right-of-way is 1,980 square feet. The alley is unimproved grass and does not show apparent use by abutting owners. A tree does appear to block the alley in the west end. No utilities utilize the alley and no easement reservations are required. Here's an aerial view, the applicant's property in red and the proposed vacating request in yellow. Here is the vacating request in red within the plat. Just an overall view of the section. Here's the alleyway looking east from 26th Street. The alley is not improved. Applicant's parcel looking south from Ida Street. The north and south alleyway looking north from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, and it's not to be vacated. North and south alleyway looking south from Ida Street, not to be vacated. This is a continuation of the alleyway looking west from 26th Street, not to be vacated. Staff had no objections to this vacating request based on responses received from reviewing agencies. If the vacating request is approved by council, no easement reservations are required. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Sammons? Seeing none, do we have an applicant here for item number 40? Yes, sir. Please state your name.
Timothy Johnson, I am the applicant.
All right. Go ahead, sir, if you have
I'm
any.
available for any questions. My rationale is.
Any question for Mr. Johnson? Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 40?
Move to close.
We have a motion to, any questions for Mr. Wigington? No? Motion to close from Councilmember Goods, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Councilmember Goods, would you like to read item number 40?
File number VAC-22-07. Ordinance being presented for first reading consideration. An ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, vacating, closing, discontinuing, and abandoning a right-of-way / alleyway located south of Ida Street, north of Dr. Luther King Jr., but north of Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard, east of 26th Street, and west of 27th Avenue, within the plat of the North Campello, a subdivision in the City of Tampa, Hillsborough County, Florida, as more described in Section 2 hereof, subject to certain conveyance conditions and restrictions as more particularly set forth herein, providing for enforcement and penalties for violation, providing for definitions, interpretations, and repealing conflicts, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Motion from Councilmember Goods, second from Councilmember Miranda. Roll call.
Miranda.
Yes.
Goos.
Yes.
Pertek.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Vieira.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
And Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously. Second reading and adoption will be held on May 19th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you very much. We cannot go to our 1:30 public hearing yet, 41 and then everything else, because it's not 1:30 yet. But I'd like to go to new business. There's a couple of items. Mr. Shelby, you have a few items, sir, and then we'll go to council members.
So you'd like to take up new business at this time?
Yeah.
Rather than go
Is-
up into staff reports?
Is everyone comfortable with new business now? I mean, we can always come back to.
I may have some at the end, but.
Okay, but we'll take care of the bulk now. Mr. Shelby, I think you wanted to discuss the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. In September of 2020, pursuant to changes in state statute, council was required to have a local elected officer appointed to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee, and that position is now vacant, and therefore the term is remaining until September 17th of 2023. So council needs to appoint somebody to fill the unexpired term, and under the code, that person is permitted to continue in that position, so they wish, for an additional 2 full terms. So the question, council, is would you like to discuss this now, or would you rather discuss this next week for making an appointment to that board? Again, it's not on the agenda. I could come back, council could indicate who their choice might be, and direct me to come back with a resolution next week with that name.
My nominee would be Councilwoman Hurtak. That's just my opinion.
You can't make a motion.
I can't make, I'm just giving an opinion. So.
Well, we could put this on the agenda.
No, make it now. I think, yeah, she's here, and it's open, yeah.
Would you be interested?
I move, Councilwoman Hurtak to be, to fill that space.
We have a motion from Councilmember Citro, second from Councilmember Miranda, to come back next Thursday with a resolution appointing Councilwoman Hurtak to the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee for the length of term that you specified.
Thank you.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Thank
All
you,
right.
council.
I need a,
Congratulations, one of the few 100%, 7-0.
there you go. Unanimous vote. May I have a motion for the Planning Commission to do a 15-minute presentation on May 19th to discuss the updated single-member district boundaries?
Second.
And they could be put at the beginning of the meeting, 9 a.m. We have a
If I can, Mr. Chairman, this is for what day again? May 19th?
May 19th for 15 minutes, Planning Commission to discuss the updated single-member district boundaries.
Thank you, and I provided background material for the clerk to put
We
into
have a
the
motion
agenda.
from Councilwoman Citro with the second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You did make the motion?
Yeah, I did.
That's right, I withdraw my second.
All right.
I have it correctly.
All right, we then have a memo from our attorney, Kamaria Pettis-Mackel, requesting to present the Citizen Board 2021 Annual Report on May 5th.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir?
There is a request in that memo that the appearance be scheduled at a time certain at 9 a.m. and with the request that the CRB chair and the TPD coordinator present.
Very good. And if
With
the
that- is
clerk
that part
has the clarification, is that okay as part of the motion?
Yes, it is.
Yes, sir?
If I may,
Yes,
Mr. Chair, is it going to be item number 1 or?
Yeah, first on the agenda.
Okay,
Well,
good,
it'll be
thank you.
Under ceremonial.
Or presentations.
Yeah.
Good.
Okie dokie. Councilmember Carlson, do you have any new business at this time?
Yeah,
If you don't mind, I'll try one or two and then maybe reserve the right to do some later. Now, item number 51, I don't know if you all have gotten a copy of this resolution yet, but it's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Tampa recognizing May 2022 as Osteoporosis Awareness Month and encouraging residents to learn more about it, bone health, and prevent osteoporosis.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Carlson, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much, sir. Anything else?
Yeah, another one real fast. The mayor had a press conference about accountability and transparency the other day, and I've gotten a lot of feedback about that. And I think that we should include a discussion about, I'd like to make a motion to have a discussion about ethics, transparency, and accountability on the September 22nd workshop, to hear from the public about ideas that they have to improve the city's ethics and other rules.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Carlson with the second from Councilmember Miranda. That is for the September 22nd workshop. I don't see anything on there yet, so I guess item number 1.
And I put it in September because vacations are about to start, and a lot of people are going to be out, so it just seemed to be the best time to have everybody around.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Carlson, second from Councilmember Miranda, Councilmember Vieira.
And if I may, just that day, I'm actually going to be out of town. I'm on September 21st. I'm seeing KISS with my son at West Palm Beach. So I will be out of town, so you can't make that up.
I may or may not be here, I'm not kidding.
You want to make it October instead?
Yeah, can we make it October? I may be here, I don't know, but yeah, can we make that for October? I'll definitely be here, I apologize.
October workshop, so October 27th.
So motion from Councilmember Carlson for October 27th, 9 a.m. Councilmember Miranda, we changed the date to October 27th for that workshop. For the ethics workshop that Councilmember.
I can live a little longer.
All right. We have a motion from Councilmember Carlson, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
And this is for October 27th. Anything else, sir?
I'll wait till later. Thank you.
Councilmember Goods, do you have anything, sir? Councilwoman Hurtak? Councilmember Citro?
One thing, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I move to reschedule the October 11th firefighter of the quarter commendation to October 20th. City Council, regular session, 9 a.m.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Citro, second from Councilmember Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else, sir?
No, thank you. Thank you,
Councilmember-
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Councilmember Vieira?
Nothing.
Councilmember Miranda?
I have one just handed to me by Mary Bryan, my aide, that the Budget Office, once again, will receive, that they will be receiving the Distinguished Budget Award for the fiscal year 2022. I'd like to schedule that if possible for May 10th.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Citro. All in favor? Aye. All right. The only motion I have is that we take a recess now until 1:30 for lunch. We have to wait till 1:30 for the rest of everything here. It's because everybody is known to come back then, so. Motion to recess until 1:30.
Second.